In my last video summary on the Boston Marathon bombing, I showed that these alleged Kraft International employees were actually members of the National Guard 1st Civil Support Team based out of Hanscom Air Force Base, though some people still don't believe me. A few people thought that they looked more like these Connecticut State Police officers from the Sandy Hook shooting, or this random Saudi guy. Kraft International offers professional training services to the National Guard and other police agencies. They also sell their clothing and apparel through their website, offering a benign explanation for why members of the National Guard might be wearing Kraft clothing and not their National Guard uniforms. Perhaps they were trained by Kraft, or perhaps they just like the hat. In any case, if Kraft International were to engage in a terroristic black op, it doesn't make any sense why they would wear clothing openly displaying their logos while doing so. So I really don't think that these guys were involved. Why would they rush in on the scene with handheld radiation detectors and backpacks that look like radiation detector backpacks? Thankfully, Infowars.com released a statement clearing these men of suspicion and showing the evidence that they were National Guard, though rumors and memes continue to circle elsewhere on the internet. A few people had some valid criticisms of my debunking of the backpacks right here bro photo, claiming that these guys were filmed directly in the area of the bombing sometime before the bombing, and easily could have run around and grabbed another backpack in time to be standing there when this other photo was taken. So I took some time to investigate exactly where these guys were at the time of the bombing, and found that they were at least a block away on Dartmouth Street. Here you can see them racing to the bombing. Pay attention to the landmarks that can be seen in this video. Directly ahead we have the Westin Hotel, the Boston Public Library on the right, and the stone arch and flying buttress on the corner of Old South Church, which can all be seen on Google Earth at the intersection of Dartmouth and Boylston Street. I believe the video was shot directly outside the Green Line stop right on this corner. We'll take a stroll in the direction that they ran, down Boylston Street, just to give you a perspective of where this is in relation to the Boston Marathon finish line, where the first bombing occurred. If you watch the time-lapse footage of the bombing, you can see these National Guard guys arrive at least a minute or so after the bombing, which is consistent with the other video evidence showing that they ran down Boylston Street through crowds of evacuating people to get back to the site of the bombing, with what appears to be their detection equipment to get a report on what was happening. You can see them immediately get on communication devices, and soon thereafter other team members and a black support Humvee arrive on the scene and begin helping. But despite all the evidence showing that these were the good guys there to help, some people still believe them to be suspicious, and will even go as far as calling me a disinfo agent for trying to clear their names. I want to remind those people that in America, you are innocent until proven guilty. At least you're supposed to be. So until those people can show evidence of these National Guard units leaving a backpack at the scene, or leaving the scene without a backpack, grabbing another one and running back, I'd have to say that the CST guys are 100% innocent, at least until they're proven guilty. I showed that picture of Dizzo Card leaving that gray backpack at the crime scene right next to that 8-year-old boy. I showed the shots of him leaving the crime scene without his backpack. There's eyewitnesses who identified him as the bomber, but still he's innocent until proven guilty, but there's a lot more evidence against him. I said that more would come out of these two bombing suspects from day one, and now look at all the stories that have come out about their family and connections to the CIA and Chechen terrorist groups. All sorts of information's coming out on these guys. The older brother was even under surveillance by Russian intelligence. The younger brother's backpack even matches the one that exploded, and I'm working on tracking down the exact make and model of the backpack, or getting someone who owns one to post a video showing the inside of it, just to make absolutely sure that it matches the one that was blown apart in this FBI photo. I would again encourage people to look at the stitching around the white square and how it was connected to and tore off from the white inside cushioning material. You can see that it pulled it away. The black fabric is clearly the inner liner, and you can observe the gray exterior fabric visible on the other side of the flap. I swear if you flip that flap over, that black flap, if you flipped it over, they'd be gray on the other side. All these other theories and misreporting of information without solid evidence have really hurt the credibility of the movement, and I have my own suspicions that some of these theories were actually actively created, supported, and fostered by paid professional COINTELPRO style disinformation agents. I mean, anyone could have hacked the 60 Minutes Twitter account page. Was that a false flag cyber attack just in time for CISPA? It's not impossible. Just look at how this has divided, distracted, and discredited the movement. It makes me wonder. Rachel Maddow even took full advantage of the situation and took some cheap shots at Alex Jones and the 9/11 Truth Movement based on the disinfo. When I first began investigating 9/11 back in 2005, I found that timelines were very helpful, and I also wished that more people had taken the time to more thoroughly document the crime scene evidence from ground zero. So when this happened right here in Boston, I decided to make like Paul Revere and take a ride through Boston myself, up through Cambridge and Watertown, making a pit stop at each of the crime scenes to take photos and videos. Those are, of course, posted on my channel for all to see and draw their own conclusions from. I wanted to make a documentary about the bombings for historical purposes, but realized that first I need to more thoroughly document what actually happened. I'm pretty sure that the FBI has a pretty solid evidence catalog for these crime scenes, but they're not sharing it with the public, and not likely to until after the trial is over. And even when they finally do, we can't be positive that they aren't lying or engaging in yet another cover-up. So in the meantime, we need to create an open source database of the crime scene evidence, preferably a timeline of photographs and videos. I already bought the domain name bostonbombingtimeline.com. I just need help setting up a content management system to handle all the photos and videos, and a main page layout that would be easy to use and navigate. So if anyone out there would like to help me with this project of setting up a timeline, please contact me and get in touch with me by email. I'm planning a second trip into Boston later this week to put out flyers advertising people to submit photos, testimony, and other information to this public open source website. I'm going to post them all around Boston in the different areas and try to crowdsource this investigation to get as many pictures together as we can in a coherent timeline of events. Even though the Infowars Operation Paul Revere video contest is officially closing today, and this is my last entry to the contest, I plan on continuing this investigation full-time here in Boston over the next few months and holding weekly discussion think tanks to discuss the various conspiracy theories around this event in detail. I will be holding another think tank tonight, Tuesday, April 30th, 2013, starting around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and going till about 1 or 2 a.m. If you have any serious questions about the Boston Marathon bombing and would like to be invited to this think tank and ask some questions, please visit the alienscientist.com Facebook page tonight around 8 p.m. and to get the link and be invited. I will only be sending out that invite through Facebook, so in order to participate you will need to get on that Facebook page, and you will also need a Google Plus account. So you may want to get that set up ahead of time and learn a little bit about the Google Hangout software, especially where the button is to mute your mic when you're not talking, because we get a lot of echo problems when there's too many people on the call. I particularly need ideas for what I can do here on the scene in Boston to gather information and leads on where I might look for more information. I also want volunteers, web designers, video and photo archivists who may have already done some of the work for us. Send an email to alienscientist@alienscientist.com with all your information, and let's get some resources together. Being local here to Boston, I want to help do everything I can to get to the bottom of this event and help people understand the truth about what really happened. And the only way to do that is, I think, through a coherent timeline of events, because there's all these pictures going around without timestamps on them, so you don't know when they were taken. This is an information war we are fighting. Our biggest enemies are lies, disinformation, misinformation, and ourselves. A lie has speed, is often exciting and easily spread, but the truth has endurance and will prevail in the end. Rachel Maddow needs to read David Ray Griffin's complete refutation of that popular mechanics trash she peddles on her show. Or if she prefers the condensed version, she can read my friend Adam Taylor's 9-part series Debunking Popular Mechanics on the Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth website. Or she can check out some of my videos debunking popular mechanics on the Warcrime 9/11 YouTube channel. Rachel Maddow's rhetoric relies on the fallacy of sweeping generalization to claim that just because the Boston Marathon spawned a massive wave of fraudulent conspiracies, that this must somehow mean that all conspiracy theories are equally as fraudulent or not based on solid scientific and forensic evidence. Of course, evidence can always be questioned and argued, but when real arguments are easily lost, the media prefers superficial ones to take the place of the real arguments. Blatant censorship would just be too obvious. That's why I've decided to host a 5-hour open-source recorded debate so we can start to get to the bottom of this Boston Marathon bombing and answer as many questions as we can about it. Anything goes. find out what FOIAs need to be filed with which agencies, and all the other complex debates attached to what happened in Boston. We'll cover everything, or try to at least. Especially the debate over the police overreaction, martial law, and constitutional violations of the Fourth Amendment with the citywide lockdown and door-to-door searches. These proved completely ineffective in finding the suspects in the end, and were a massive violation of these people's rights. According to the police themselves, the over-response and massive police presence actually inhibited law enforcement efforts because it was too damn crowded. There were too many police. The strategy was entirely ineffective. Cops in Watertown were hit by friendly fire, and in the end it was a civilian who found the guy hiding in his boat, and not the cops. While some suggest that what happened was a test run for martial law, I think we can do a lot to turn this around on the globalists by getting the stories out from the police that were actually there, so they can send a message to the other law enforcement agencies across this country about how ineffective, wasteful, and counterproductive the lockdown and martial law style door-to-door house searches actually were, despite them being a huge violation of people's rights. So stay tuned as Operation Paul Revere up here in Boston continues to investigate the marathon bombing.
I am Paul Revere from Boston, Massachusetts, and I approve this message.